sure.
Maybe
Uh,
even having that confirmed might help you to make the connection. See, they have a bit of difficulty with connection too, because we're operating on a fairly low vibrational frequency down here. They vibrate at a very high frequency. So we tend to use the astral plane as a meeting ground. So we need to raise our energy a little bit and they need to lower theirs to make
oh,
that connection.
right.
So it's a little bit difficult for them too. Do
Hmm.
you do anything like meditate,
Oh,
meditation or anything like
yeah,
that?
yeah,
No.
definitely. Um,
Maybe while you're meditating, just put it out there and you might be aware of more messages coming through.
yeah. One of the one of the things that's kind of like been a common theme throughout my life has been certain numbers. I'm not sure if they're a message trying to tell me something, but like I'm born on the 27th, and like 2 and 7 to 9.
Yeah, yeah,
I often get like 9 and numbers that add to 9.
yeah,
Like I'll see like for example, I'll be busy throughout the day and then I'll have a look at the clock and it's like, oh, it's 3:33.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's just weird. Like that happens to me all the time.
yeah. That's a way of communicating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do that. It's less just like saying hello, we're here. Hi. On your own.
Yeah. Well, I see. I'm really excited to experience meeting them in this body and stuff because it's just I feel like just like them, I'm also like a being and I'm also like a child of the universe. I want to explore. I want to see different cultures and learn as much as I can. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna keep on that path for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Just stick with it. You might be surprised.
the other thing I wanted to talk about, because you were mentioning about the reptilians, right?
Yeah,
And the controllers on this planet.
yeah.
So my question is like, with the Greys and like all the benevolent beings, like in the Galactic Federation and in our galaxy and in the universe. So is the reptilians, are they part of like an opposing kind of malevolent beings? Like, is this part of like universal balance? Is there beings out there that are also dark and malevolent?
Not so much in the general universe. At level 1, where planet Earth is, and there would have to be other planets with negative ones. But generally, planets at that level are protected from outside negative influence, but the reptilians are as humans. So this is how they're influencing things down here. But at the same time, in the greater scheme of things, as the grey teachers always say, there are no accidents. In the greater scheme of things, they're here to give us a choice between love and fear. We have to make that choice. The actual physical or mental making the choice helps our evolution. It's a step in our evolution. So if you just have love all around you, that's lovely, but you've got to be in a position where you're offered both so that you have a chance to choose either love or fear. So the Reptarian's job is to offer that choice. So in a way, they are assisting us in our evolution. They've got their place. Nothing is wrong in the greater scheme of things when you're looking at the greater reality. Everything is as it should be.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does make sense. And it's funny that you had mentioned about love and fear because that's something that I talk about like all the time. Like I do life coaching. It's one of
Right.
my jobs that I do. So I talk to people about their lives and stuff. And
Yeah,
that's one of the things I talk about is choosing between love and fear
yeah,
in your
yeah,
life. Yeah.
yeah, yes, yes, and focusing on positive rather than focusing on negative. My great teacher, Mara, sent through a whole teaching on that once. Unfortunately, I haven't got it on me here. Maybe if we do another session, I'll read it out. But basically what he was saying, to choose negativity is easy. It's like a jellyfish being washed around on the shore by the tide. To choose positivity, you have to apply yourself. It's something that you have to work on. And he said the trouble is most people just allow themselves to be sucked into the negativity and controlled by it instead of making that active choice. No, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go here.
Yeah, that is so true. It's easy to just you know, to be negative, to dismiss things, or to make quick judgments towards others or ideas.
Yes.
So yeah, that
Yes.
kind of like base level thinking,
Yeah.
it takes real strength, like kind of like in
Oh,
your
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
the real strength is like
Not
is
like this.
positivity, you know,
Yes.
being,
Yes.
you know, showing compassion, kindness, gentleness.
Yes.
Yeah,
Turning
that's
the other cheek.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, a lot of questions here. We've got Tom Mack and then Jackie and then Mark. So Tom, you're up.
The Mac just happens to be my machine. I just
Oh, Tom's on a Mac. Okay, you're just Tom then. That's fine.
I have 3 computers, so I have to remember which one I'm on, but this one has the clearest screen.
I can change the name to Tom. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, I've had very unusual experiences in my life, and over the last 30 plus years, I've had communication with a being that's not a gray. I really couldn't even tell you where he's from. I can tell you a little bit what he looks like, but the fact is, it's been an ongoing communication. Started out channeling in 1990, and I have a friend who's a very adept, you know, psychic and medium and channeler, and we literally have had conversations on conversations. So I've learned a lot about my life previous to this one and how some of those things have bled over from one to the other. But one of the things that I've come to understand is when we astral travel, they actually, some of these civilizations, let's call them, you know, have methods to literally take us out and go with them in our astral bodies, but it's not quite astral. This is the way it was explained to me. It's a little bit of a blended type of technology, but I've had literally a whole other life. When I saw your book, you know, Human by Day, Zeta at Night, I was like, yeah, I gotta, we have to read that one, because there's only a few books out there like that where you're actually experiencing that that dual existence. You mentioned Susie Hansen before. I have that book just over here. I just got it recently, and but one of the things that I found out was that, you know, we think that because we live in this 3D society that we don't live in these other dimensions. And I've found that, you know, the more I get into this and realize it, the more I see that we actually live more in that dimensional, you know, place than so much here. We just don't realize it. You know, I when I talk to people who are not familiar with anything, I always explain it as, you know, we tend to think too much through our humanness or humanity because that's what we have.
Yeah.
And how many people that are out there that won't talk about this at all? You said it a few minutes ago. You wouldn't be on this call if you probably weren't already in contact with them.
Yes.
And that has been my total experience. And the more that I find, you know, I've had, you know, many experiences. I had a reptilian visit me here not too long ago. He had a little, there was a little break in communication, let's just say, and he just popped in to check me out. I felt him. I didn't see him, but one of my cats was sitting there looking up past me. And when I looked down the hall, I was not looking down the hall, I was looking up. And that's when it clicked with me. I said, oh, I've got a visitor that's not particularly friendly. But I've had a few other experiences where, you know, in a highly emotional state, which I know makes it simpler for them to come through, you know, just have a face right in front of me. And kind of, one was a gray and one was a reptilian. And they were a couple months apart. And I asked the second time, I said, why are you here? He says, because we like to watch. Which was funny in its own right, but it made me understand that when you hit that high emotional thing, that's where our energies are closer and they can communicate. Is that very common with the grays, or is that?
Oh, yeah, yes, they are interested in us humans. People think the greys don't have emotion. but they do, but they express it at a different level. They don't express it physically, but they do feel it very deeply. But at the same time, they're interested in studying the way humans react to emotion.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the things the last fellow was talking about fear. I have a booklet this thick of my channeling from 30 years ago. So I have stuff to go back to. And one of the things that we were communicating about, he was asking me how, to describe fear.
Yeah.
And I realized after reading through that it wasn't so much asking me for their knowledge, it was to make me aware of what
Yes.
how I saw it. And boy, when I
Yes.
did that, it opened lots of doors. It just opened things up. The fellow that
Yes.
was on here just before me, yeah, you're already being communicated with. You just don't want to admit it. You don't understand it. If you get that, I get clicking, I get it when I'm in the facility, I'm suddenly getting, okay, you had to pick now to do this. Yeah. Over many years, I've had downloads that wiped me out for 2 days. And I got to a point where I knew what that was. But I've also, many years ago, 25, 30 years ago, had lots of marks on my body. And over time, I've found that these are different societies playing with you. It's not all one. And one of the things that I was told, I'm going to say reprimanded, but you can say told, forcefully, is stop lumping us all together in one group, because there's so many out there. The one other fellow mentioned the Federation, they, go to, Men in Black and look in the one part where they open the door, there's this whole giant room full of aliens of every kind that you can imagine. And that's more like what it is. When you have a specific group that you work with, like yourself, you get to know a lot more about them. And that's the thing that I've had. I've gotten to know quite a bit about it. I still couldn't tell you what their home planets. I know one thing about their home planet. I know a few things, but most people here just think, oh, they're space guys. They got jobs and families and everything just like we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them are workers and they don't have those things. But I mean, all it takes is knowing somebody who's a real, what you will call a loner, and they have them too. But they have scientists and they have workers and they have social workers, but they just don't use money.
Yeah.
It's a better way of doing things once you figure out how they do it, how they're actually, you're compensated by what you give.
Yeah. I remember one of the Greys saying that once, people think we look weird, but he said, if people could see some of the other beings out there, they'd realize just how ordinary we look, as far as being human,
Being, bipedal,
one head, two hands.
Yeah, exactly. It's fairly common in the universe, not just our solar system and our galaxy. You think how many galaxies there are. We're not inconsequential because we're much more powerful than we think we are. And that usually doesn't happen to young people. It takes a while to really let that sink in. And I'm happy to be able to chat with people about this. It's even here in New Mexico, you would think that this is a big mecca for this stuff, but we don't even have a MUFON group here in Albuquerque anymore. It's pretty funny, I mean, I used to go to some groups and there was a few people that I like chatting with, and there's a lot of people who are just inquisitive. They just want to know a little bit of stuff. But it's fun. I have enjoyed thoroughly the contact that I've had. It's different. I met a guy a couple weeks ago who's has conscious recollection of being on a ship with Grays. They told him flat, we're going to let you remember this. And he knows who he was talking to, and we've only talked once, but we're going to get together again. So
that'd be
I
interesting.
appreciate this. This is wonderful. I do have your Zeta message book, and I have the other one too. So I'll probably need a few more.
A point point you brought up before, this really interesting that I should have mentioned when we were talking about the human ladder. That's the thing. In actual fact, we have a part of ourselves on every level of the ladder.
Mm.
So often when an ET comes down or a spiritual guide, it's a higher part of our own self, our own soul.
Wow. Yeah.
And this is where the oneness aspect comes in. We're operating on all these 10 different levels.
Right. And I've also been told, I've asked questions about reincarnation, and we've had many lives together.
Yes, yes.
And not all on this planet. A
Yeah.
lot of people are under an assumption that because we believe in reincarnation or trust that exists, that it's lifetime to lifetime on this planet, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Go read Dolores Cannon's stuff.
That's right.
And you find that you don't like here, go stay somewhere else. You'll be bored. They come back here. We come back here because it's chaotic and it's fun.
Yeah.
We tend to not see it that way. We have politics, we have world events, we have controllers, and all of that can drive you nuts. But at the same time, they have it out there too, just on a bigger scale. Anyway, I'll let somebody else say hi. Thank you.
Well, Tom, I was saying, if you don't have a group in Albuquerque, stick around, like we're on Zoom, we're a cyber community. And part of the idea is this is a group effort, want to raise awareness about the, alien agenda, for positive human advancement. So it's a group effort. So, and we'll have Judy back. Definitely want Judy to come back when she has time. No?
Yeah.
Yes. And Jackie's next. She's got her camera on. Jackie's been a guest before. She's experienced this since she was a little girl. So you got a bit of a hiss there, Jackie. But
when we do podcasts, I'll just put in here so it make you feel a bit better. When my friend Paula Jane and I do our podcasts, we do them at our place and record it on her phone. We have a airport close to us. So I think people must wonder, they hear this roar going past every so often, and it's a plane going over.
Well, I don't hear anything in here whatsoever, and I'm way out of the city, way out in the boonies, so I don't know what's going on. It must be my computer or something. But anyway, Judy, I really appreciate you here. And it's really interesting to get that perspective that you have. I haven't read your books, and I've just heard of you through this channel here, or through the Meetup group here. And I really love what you were talking about, because I've had generational contacts with ETs. My mother and father, myself and my sister, my children, my children's children, my grandkids. So it's been generational.
Yeah.
But I haven't talked a lot about it. I spent many years not talking about it. But I really had so many spiritual experiences, and they were instantaneous. They'd happen while I was walking or meditating or driving or whatever. All of a sudden I'd be in an altered state and I'd be somewhere else.
Yeah.
I've had so many of them. And past life experiences, they came on really quickly too, through different perspectives and an altered state, whether I was meditating or whatever. So I know my girlfriend's husband is now my grandson in this life. Like, I know all of them and how we're all connected, and how my husband was connected to me and in other lives. And it's been so interesting, but I haven't really spoken to anybody about that part of it. And that's the part that is really great to me. I mean, that perspective, the spirituality of it is so immense. And, the raising of consciousness. I mean, the energy that's coming in now, and talk about the children, oh my God, they come in with all that already here. And I think, it's taken me 50 years to get this way, and the kids are born and they already know most of it.
Yeah.
They're already ready. Not all of them, but a large portion of them are. So I really appreciate this conversation today, and I will tell you that my girlfriend used to channel like 30 years ago too as well, and I've started channeling a few years ago as well. But they've always said that love is the reason for everything.
Yes.
And we are going to meet. We are oneness. We're going into oneness. So all is meeting. And the Greys are getting us ready for this. We've been so separated from the rest of the
Yes.
universe. We're universal beings, and we have to become universal beings again, and they will be here. And it's not going to be a long time from now. So they're trying to prepare us.
Yeah.
I know that. They're around me all the time, but they mostly use the scanning now. Like, I'm not in contact with them like you are, in that way, because there's different ways of all of us being here and doing our own type of
Yes.
work, you know, with
Yes.
others and everything like that. So I find it really interesting, and I'm so excited about the spirituality part of it, because boy, is it strong.
Oh, yes.
It's
yeah. And that's left out
amazing.
so much. That's left out. It's not understood.
I know, I know.
Particularly with a lot of the UFO contact groups and that. They don't understand
Exactly.
that spirituality is the key to the
It's the
whole thing.
key. I know, and I've heard a lot of UFO, not a lot. I just started getting into it thanks to Brian. He invited me on once, and I started talking about my UFO experiences, and I never wrote them down, and it was so many years ago, and so they just keep coming and going, you know, and I didn't really want to talk so much about UFOs or ET experiences, even though I've had so many of them, but it's the spiritual experiences that have been so enormous, so enormous.
Yeah, yeah.
So I really
yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you very much for being here. I love it.
Thank you.
I'll have to get your
Yeah.
books. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's so true. That's what I've learned last 2 years. The spiritual aspect is what they want us to work on, humanity. Great. So next we have Mark, and then Agnes after that. Good crowd. Good crowd.
Okay, this is kind of a follow-on to what Jackie just said. Over the years, I've had a repeated dream, and it's about the skies being filled with worldwide by UFOs. This is a revelation or an awakening event. It's not an invasion. It's never that in my dream. And I'm just, caught by the wonder of it all. When, if ever, do they say this will happen? Will it happen, or is it just a wild dream I'm having?
Yeah, it's these things are shown to people. It's certainly a possibility. What they do when they show us things like that, it's a possibility. But again, we create our own reality down here. So what might happen, some people will see it and some won't.
Huh, that's
and
interesting.
when it happens depends on humanity. When they feel humanity is ready, because there's a lot of
Okay,
people at the
so
moment who aren't.
there's no way of giving us 2, 5, 10 years or anything
No,
like that.
they won't do that. The
It's not
Greys are very
dependent on
much-
time. Yeah.
No. They never give predictions for the future, because we
Okay.
sort of create our own future. But it's a high possibility that it could happen.
Yeah. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah. They don't want to blow people's brains, blow their fufu valves.
Yeah. Yeah. The future, predicting the future has always been a strange thing that I can't quite grasp. Sometimes psychics do it. And
Yes.
in my life, they've done it amazingly accurately.
Yes.
But
yes.
I'm thinking I'm picking out a pattern here, in that they're able to do it because it was already part of a life plan.
Yes, exactly.
And so that is a way you can get accurate future predictions. But stuff like what we're just talking about, where it's not a part of a fixed plan for somebody, it's more dependent upon
Yes.
a lot of things that
Yeah.
therefore it can't be predicted. So
Yeah.
this
See,
kind of reaffirms that.
I think what the ETs are doing, and this is why I'm doing this work, coming and speaking on programs and interviews and sessions like this, because if they did that now, mass panic would happen. If they just all suddenly appeared in the sky, because the
think so.
majority of people still don't even know that there are ETs out there.
Probably
They don't even
my,
think about it.
That
probably
happens. They don't even
my,
think about it. So they would
I would be
absolutely-
celebrating, but my wife
Yes,
and daughter would
yes.
probably be having fits.
Yes, it'd be mass panic. So what
Yeah.
they're doing at this stage, those of us like myself down here and all of you, we're doing our little job in just getting it out there. So people understand that, hey, yeah, they are out there and they'd like to come and say hello. The more we can get that out there, and they're not going to, invade us or attack us or anything. They just want to be friendly and they want to link up with
Boy,
us.
you see that a lot in movies, and I don't think that's an accident.
No, no.
Every time you see an alien show, they're, horrible enemies.
Yeah.
And I think that's deliberate.
Yeah. I always remember a really funny movie. Oh God, I've watched it a couple of times. I think it's called Mars Attacks or something. And there's all these Martians coming here attacking humanity. And they finally down here figure out that by playing country and Western music, they can sort of dissolve the Martians. And they have this old pickup truck driving around with big speakers playing country and Western music, and you can see all these Martians. I was
Amazing.
getting a kick out of that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Your conversation reminds me of experience this week. I was at the Toronto Dominion Bank and I met a guy I hadn't seen in 20 years because he has a print shop, and he was asking what I'm into. And I said, well, I have this UFO meetup. That's my main interest now. And he said, well, I hope you don't believe it. So I saw when these people like just they can't take it seriously,
They can't. They can't. They either just laugh at it or they get scared. Oh no, I don't want to know about that. I don't want to know about that.
Yeah, there's billions of people that don't think about space or aliens. They're not ready for it. Like the UFO community, we've been at this for decades, so we're kind of an echo chamber. We forget that there's billions of people just not ready.
That's right. That's right. They're fascinated in the next movie that Hollywood's bringing out, or what such and such an actor or actress is getting up to, but they're not interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is just to me, it's just I can't even get it into my mind how people can be like that.
Yeah, it's really the biggest issue in the world. I think our relationship with other planets, other dimensions.
Yep.
So we have Agnes next. You're on. Thanks for waiting so long. We got such a popular group here.
You do an excellent group. Now, one of my questions have been answered. So this is kind of a combined one. For many, many years, I've had visitors. Okay, initially, when I was younger, I just assumed they were my ancestors because my mother was Cree and, very much into the ancestral thing. And I just took it for granted that they were looking after me. But over the years, it has changed. And I see them, but it's kind of like looking at a negative.
Yeah.
When I'm meditating, and even when I'm not meditating, they're coming now. Usually about 10 minutes after I get into bed, they're here,
Yeah.
Not every night, but I would say, 5 nights out of a week, I see them. And I can see the faces. I've definitely seen some of the grays. They don't look like a lot of the pictures I've seen, but I know that's who they are. Just the shape and everything.
Yeah.
But there's also another group that come. And this is what I part of my question. They come in long robes, and they're much taller and much thinner. They're almost like spirals. When they first come in, it's like seeing a spiral. And then you see the outline of the face and the robe and everything. Would they be part of this ET community as well?
Oh my goodness, yeah, most likely. Because as I said before, as one of the Greys said, there are so many different ones out there.
That's right.
And the ones who come, what people forget is that all Earth humans have ET DNA in them. We're all hybrids, everyone.
Right.
So we all have family out there. So the ones that we have contact with are generally from our own ET family. Like, for example, with me, my family is Greys. But, you know, other people have different ones.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So,
it's like a family contact.
so the ancestral thing fits really well then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yes,
That's right.
yes. Yeah, coming back to oneness again.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
And lately, and my health hasn't been bad, you know, but lately when they arrive, I'm asleep within 5 minutes. They
Yeah,
touch me, I can feel them touching me. I
Yeah.
often put up my hand and ask them, are you here again? And it's like they will run their fingers over my fingers like feathers. And then
yeah,
I feel really good when they do that. It's wonderful.
yeah, yeah,
And then I'm
yeah,
asleep. It's like I
Yeah.
have no control. I'm out. I'm gone.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what they do by making contact with you like that, they bring everything just back into harmony and calmness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were actually taught an aura cleanse by one of the tall greys that we have up on our YouTube channel. And it's absolutely brilliant for getting restless children to sleep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. People can
Thank
just go in and learn it off their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
There's about 13 steps in it, so it takes a bit of practice. And it's
Alright.
hard to do it on yourself. So what the idea is to learn it off by heart and then just visualize it on yourself. That works just as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Judy. I do hope you're back soon. I've really enjoyed this.
Good. It's lovely talking to you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good group. I wanted to follow
Yeah,
up on one thing Ian was saying earlier about having, like, trying to communicate with the ETs. I've talked with him and other people in the group about having like a group channeling session, like an ongoing group. And you mentioned in your book in the Zeta message that you're part of a meditation group, like a higher realm, and there's a real commitment that everyone had to be there, like every Monday night. And you
Yeah,
had to be
yeah.
there, and it's like the idea of a closed group. So we've talked
Yeah.
about that idea. I've been invited to a remote viewing group over the last year. We meet every other week, and so we've come up with that idea. Some people have the idea, why don't we have a group committed to trying to contact the Greys or the Mantids, like they're very high. And I kind of feel like I already know what I'm supposed to be doing, which is this, like raising awareness about the ET presence. But it would be nice to have contact. Do you think it's realistic to try to have a group? We'd be meeting on Zoom, like in different cities, all meeting together like this on a Zoom.
Yeah. See, Dr. Stephen Greer does something like that with his CE5
Yeah.
Right,
encounters.
yes,
Yeah, I know he does that. I know several people who take part in that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've been out with his group here. Terry Tabendo in Vancouver takes people. We actually go out outside the city near the mountains when it's dark and meditate there. I was wondering, what do you think of the idea of getting a group together on Zoom, meeting like every week or every 2 weeks? And any advice on that? Like, is it
Well,
realistic, or should we try?
If you've got the time to do it, yeah, why not have a go?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't
yeah.
work.
Why not try it? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Like they say in Australia, give it a go, you mug.
Yeah, people can email me if they're interested in having a group like that. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So for questions, we got Tom next, and then Lisa. Go ahead.
I was just laughing a moment ago when Judy said that, we're all hybrids. I have said this to so many people and they look at me like I'm totally nuts. And I said, are you kidding? I got this directly from out there. This is the funniest question I've thrown at people. And they still will look at you like you're stupid. They said, why do you call us aliens when we were here first? and if you think about it, if you follow any of the history, we've been manipulated since we've been existed on this planet. And it's just funny when people don't get that. I mean, look at our own planet. You've got in Africa alone, you got black people that are 3 feet tall, and you got black people that are 7.5 feet tall. And you've got every different kind of Asian has similar features, but they're all different. I'm tall and white, and big deal. Everybody's a little bit different. So why would it not feel like we were all hybrids? It just
Yeah,
makes perfect sense.
that's right. That's right. And it's really funny, you know, when we first started really contacting the ETs, when I linked up with Helene and the family, we once asked Oris, you know, what do you want us to call you? Do you want us to call you, you know, ETs or Zetas or aliens or what? And his answer was anything except aliens. We don't like the term alien because, you know, what we would prefer you to call us is family. And I thought, oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it when I get into chats with people that don't have any experience in this, because I have to be really careful how I phrase things, because I really do think you're nuts. But then again, you're from Australia. I'm sure you probably know who Michael Rhodes is. I've read almost all of his stuff. And, you know, he uses a term that I fell in love with, because I understand it. He says when he has an inner knowing, you know, it's not something that I've studied, I've learned, it's feelings, and it's putting those feelings and those emotions together all in one little package. When you get an idea in your head, I question everything that comes into my head. Is this mine? Is this somebody else's? I don't care whose else it is. It's just that, you know, if it's coming in there and it's not mine, I channel too, not as much as a lot of people, but I can do it, just not on demand. It just kind of comes through sometimes. And I understand that now. And, you know, I was told a long time ago, I asked, well, would I be able to channel? And they said, well, you know, you're not ready yet. And then later on, they said, well, you've been doing it all along. You just didn't know it. And right. These are the parts that I love, because it's like child's play to them. But I have a friend that says, you know, when you talk to new people or people, you can't teach advanced mathematics to a second grader. You know, and there's people who are just not ready for this. They're not open. All it takes is being open. You know, I mean, if you're, you know, indoctrinated with religion or government, you know, I have a lot of political friends, you know. And every now and then you just have to step back and say no. And being open, that's the key to it. You know, it's lovely when people ask you questions, and I always say, you know, ask me as many as you like, but just be open to the answers. Because what a lot of people do, they question, but they've already got their own agenda. And so, you know, whatever you answer isn't going to necessarily satisfy them. You know? Cool. Thanks again.
Okay, we got Lisa. Is this the Lisa in Manitoba?
Yes, it is. Lockport, Manitoba. Hi. Hi, Brian. I just had another question for Judy. Judy, when you're communicating with Oris over the years, did he or any of the other teachers, like, did they talk about, say, for example, nature spirits, elementals, fairies, and what their role may be in terms of spiritual evolution or spiritual development? Did they ever talk about that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lisa. The Greys have a very close connection with the nature spirits, because they're sort of part of the David kingdom as well. I actually had an experience with the Greys at a sacred site in England back in 1995, and it was a prominent site for the nature spirits. So yeah, they've got a real close connection.
That's interesting. We have a acreage here. There's about 5 acres. And when I was going through all the experiences with the ETs, shortly after that, we'd be out in the yard looking up in the sky, really interested in what's going on, seeing, you know, quite a few things. But then, I don't know, my awareness, the expansion of that, I just felt that there was more to learn and know in our yard. And we could see orbs in our yard. I even took a camera and I actually took photos and captured some really interesting images of what looked like nature spirits. One was an orb, a beautiful green yellow orb with what looked like a fairy with wings inside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then the other one was a small kind of angelic angel looking being. And again, you couldn't see those spirits like with our own eyes, but through the camera lens we could. So I just thought that was fascinating. And
Yeah,
you
I
know,
had
it's just
exactly the same
beautiful.
thing. Yeah, I had the same thing happen, Lisa. I have the photos actually in the Zeta message book. I took a photo out our back window after we'd had a very bad hailstorm. And it was fascinating because there was hail all over the lawn. So I thought, oh, I'll take a photo of this. When I finally put it up on the computer, it was full of orbs. And as I say, it's published in my book, The Zeta Message. And their role down here is to care for nature. Like, I'm very much into nature and gardening. So I know that I've got a lot of fairy folks in our garden. And this picture with all the photo I took with all the orbs proves it.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, my background is in environmental science. That's my field. And I've just always had this absolute love and caring for nature, like since I was a little child. And it's just always been with me. And like you were saying, and I think Tom was saying, it's just this, when you have this knowingness and it's your intuition and it's you, and let that really guide you, you know, like I think that's really, really important. Your inner kind of knowingness and your inner self, when you get to know it better, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, it's unbelievable what you can discover too. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And to acknowledge the fact that the plant life has consciousness. You can communicate with your plants. I talk to mine all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just fascinating. But thanks for being here. I just really appreciate this, and I think this is just great. So thank you.